Emma Carter had always been the kind of person who blended into the background. At 24, working as a barista in a small-town coffee shop in Ohio, she carried herself with a quiet ease, never asking for more attention than was necessary. People came and went, ordering cappuccinos or black coffees, and Emma always offered a polite smile, a gentle nod, and the kind of service that didn't draw eyes but somehow made the regulars return anyway. The world saw her as dependable, soft-spoken, unremarkable. That was fine with her. Emma had grown up in a house where silence was safer than speaking, where drawing attention only brought questions she didn't want to answer. She'd learned early that if she kept her head down, people wouldn't pry. No one knew that Emma's life had already been quietly tied to someone else's, long before she realized how deep that connection ran. Across town, Daniel Brooks had his own way of disappearing in plain sight. He was 26, a mechanic at his uncle's auto shop, and he had the kind of rugged presence people noticed but didn't fully know. To most, he was the guy who could fix your car without charging you an arm and a leg, who spoke in short sentences and wore grease-stained t-shirts. He had a past most didn't ask about, and he rarely volunteered more than he had to. But when Emma walked into the auto shop one late summer afternoon, carrying the nervous energy of someone who didn't know where else to turn, everything between them shifted. Her old Honda Civic had stalled just outside of town, and the tow truck had left her at the shop, standing awkwardly by the counter as Daniel wiped his hands on a rag and approached. "You the Civic?" he asked, his voice low, steady, with just a hint of curiosity. "Yeah," Emma said, brushing hair from her face. "It just stopped on me. I'm not really sure what happened." Daniel nodded, glancing at her with eyes that seemed to read more than she was saying. "We'll take a look. Might be something simple." She thanked him, and for a moment, their eyes met, just long enough for something unspoken to pass between them. That was the start. No one else noticed how their conversations grew from short exchanges about car repairs into small fragments of something deeper. Emma found herself dropping by the shop even when she didn't strictly need to. Sometimes she'd bring an extra coffee, setting it on the counter with an offhand, "Thought you might need this." Daniel, for his part, never smiled much, but when he did, those small, rare moments, it felt like the air shifted. They didn't tell anyone. Not because it was scandalous, but because it felt too fragile to share. Emma's friends would tease, and Daniel's co-workers would pry, and somehow that would break the quiet safety they found in each other's company. What happened between them grew in the spaces where no one was watching, late-night talks on the hood of her car, walks by the river when the town was asleep, moments where silence said more than words. Daniel told her things he hadn't said out loud in years, about how he'd left college after his dad passed away, about how he stayed behind to help his mom keep the house, about the weight of responsibility that sometimes felt like it would crush him. Emma listened, not with pity but with understanding. She'd grown up with her own quiet burdens, and though she didn't always put them into words, Daniel seemed to hear them anyway. One night, when the autumn air was crisp and the leaves had just started to fall, Emma confessed something she hadn't told anyone. They were sitting on the back steps of her small apartment building, the glow of the street lamp barely reaching them. "I used to think no one would ever really see me," she said softly, staring at her hands. "Like I could live my whole life and just fade into the background, and no one would notice." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I see you." The words were simple, but they sank deep. She turned to him, surprised by the certainty in his tone. He wasn't saying it to flatter her or to fill the silence. He meant it. It was in those hidden hours, when no one else was around, that their connection deepened. They weren't perfect people. Emma was hesitant, fearful of opening herself too much, while Daniel sometimes closed off, retreating behind walls he'd built long ago. But they found a rhythm in each other's presence, one that didn't require explanation. To the outside world, nothing had changed. Emma still made lattes and wiped down counters, Daniel still fixed cars and nodded at customers. But behind the ordinary routines, something extraordinary was happening. And maybe that's why they never spoke about it openly. Because what happened between them when no one was watching was too rare, too precious, to risk in the daylight. Please like and subscribe my channel for more romantic videos.